today's news, Joyce Samuel Primary School faculty visits students at home. Gambling legislation debated in the House of Assembly.
13 years later, and the Rural Vigilance Police Force continues to seek assistance in solving the murder of Anderson Thomas. All this and more when 284 News returns.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome everybody. It's Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. We're coming to you straight out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. We're nearly over the hump, Ron.
Yes, and lots in store for the beautiful people.
Most definitely. As we start this newscast, we're starting on a lighter note.
Awesome.
Now, the Joyce Samuel Primary School Home Visit Committee paid some students and teachers a visit at home yesterday. The Home Visit Committee is made up of some teachers, the school's principal, and the school counselor. They visit teachers and students while wearing protective gear, of course, and practicing social distancing. The group sanitized along the way upon entry and exit of each home or yard. When sharing a hug with students, persons wore masks to ensure the safety of everyone. A parent of a student of this school, she expressed her appreciation for this gesture via Facebook. She said, and I quote, "Yesterday, the Joyce Samuel Primary School principal, counselor, and many teachers drove around visiting students at their homes. They practiced social distancing, yet made face-to-face interactions with students. My home and children were visited. I cannot quantify what that meant to me and my children. They loved it. They were surprised and felt special. These things are what makes the difference in a child's life and mental state. The Joyce Samuel Primary School staff are an excellent bunch, and I commend them on their efforts. Going above and beyond seems to be the norm at this school. Black excellence," she said. The school's page on Facebook answered this post by saying, "Yesterday was amazing. We wish we could visit every student, but for those we were able to reach, we were inspired. Schools are about so much more than reading and math. We are family." Now, we heard from the principal of the school, Mrs. Olandit Crab, in a Facebook comment. She said, "My awesome team and I started off with an intention to be blessing and offer support, but the day turned out to be the other way around. We are truly inspired by the families we visited, people doing whatever it takes to ensure learning continues for their little stingers. Thanks for having us. It was a wonderful day." Ron, I definitely love this story.
I love it just as much as you do. I think it's terrific.
Because I think as things are changing, seeing this amount of effort coming out of an entire faculty, entire school, teachers taking the time out of their day to really do these home visits, that's really important, and I'm sure these students really appreciate it.
Indeed. Many of the students, when you speak to them, one of the things, Carla, they say all the time is, "I miss seeing my teacher and my classmates." But I must commend Mrs. Orlandit Crab and her staff at the Joyce Samuel Primary School. They continue to do remarkable stuff.
Most definitely.
It is one of the leading examples of an educational institution in the Virgin Islands, and I wish them the very best as they continue the good work. Continuing on, detectives from the Major Crime Investigations Team are seeking your assistance in identifying the perpetrator or perpetrators responsible for the murder of then 20-year-old local male Anderson Thomas of Paraquita Bay, who was shot and killed at the Market Square in Roadtown, Tortola on the 16th of June 2007. Now, the details are around 3:30 a.m. on the said date, the victim was reversing his vehicle within the Market Square, accompanied by 3 females, when an unknown person came and fired several gunshots at him whilst the vehicle was still in motion, which caused it to lose control and reversed into another parked vehicle. Now, police responded very swiftly to the scene and discovered the body of the victim, who was fatally wounded by gunshots. This year marks the 13th year anniversary of the incident, and no one is yet to be identified as the perpetrator of this crime. Detectives of the said unit have not given up on the investigation and are still hopeful that members of the community may have crucial information to assist in identifying those responsible for this heinous crime, to bring some closure to the grieving family. Of course, anyone with information relating to these crimes are urged to contact Detective Inspector Vernon Leclerc directly on 368-9809. Again, that number is 368-9809, or the Major Crime Investigation Team at 368-5682. All information is said to be treated with the strictest of confidence. Now, the grieving father, Kyla, of the victim, local businessman Mr. Idrisio Thomas of Paraquita Bay, was interviewed, and he had something to share on the loss of his son. He said, and I quote, "A day does not go by without me remembering my son and how he was brutally taken from me. I pray to God every day that his killer would be found and brought to justice. I remember my son and me playing in the lagoon. It still hurts, even after all these years. Why is he not here with me like other people's children? I miss him dearly." We see the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force continuing to make an asserted effort, which we are most appreciative of. Many times persons seem to think that after a certain amount of years they begin to lose hope, or perhaps it's not worth it at the end of the day. But I would say to any person who echo those sentiments, as you heard from the father of the victim, 13 years later, and it still feels the same, it still hurts. So anyone with information is asked to please contact the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force.
Most definitely. As you said, Ron, even 13 years later, this father is still grieving for his son.
Yes.
And still wish that some justice will be served even after so much time. So, of course, if anyone has any information on this, please reach out to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. But viewers, still ahead, gambling legislation being debated in the House of
It's a good one. I
Assembly.
can't wait for that.
You don't want to miss it. You hear all about it when 284 News returns.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, yesterday in the House of Assembly, the House debated the Gambling, Gaming, and Betting Control Act. Premier of the Virgin Islands, Honorable Andrew Foy, said that the government intends to introduce a BVI lottery to take the place of illegal foreign lotteries that is sold on certain streets here in our territory. Premier Foy revealed that the government have been working with a team of consultants who have helped other jurisdictions, including others in the Caribbean, to implement an online gaming system and facilitate these kind of lottery games like Powerball. Honorable Foy indicated that the gambling legislation is projected to generate millions of dollars while creating employment opportunities and also creating a nightlife here in the territory. Multiple times throughout the session in the House of Assembly, members of the House pointed to the fact that or financial services sector and the tourism sector is declining and facing challenges during these times, and it is believed that this may be one of the legislations to generate new funding in the territory to kind of cushion the decline in these other pillars. Now, Premier Foy asked during his closing remarks, Ron, is money good or is money bad? Is money good depending on where it comes from, or is money bad depending on where it comes from? Now, he explained a scenario of, and let's slow it down a little bit here now. He explained a scenario of a drug dealer being caught with money gained from illegal activity. He said, we refer to this money as dirty money. This is something that we know publicly as dirty money. Premier Foy said if the police then catches this person and the person is convicted, this money is now the government's money and put into government's coffers. He said, is that money now bad? Is the same money that we were just calling dirty money, is it still bad? Did the government clean it by some sort? He explained that there is a system by law that deals with such monies being obtained in these situations, and he explained it as the same with this gambling legislation. Premier Foy emphasized that the government is not encouraging anyone to go out there and gamble, just as they are not encouraging persons to go out there and run drugs. But this legislation ensures that the government collects any revenue from these types of activities. Now, the Foy-led government, they pride themselves on being a bit unconventional. This legislation was publicly supported by other members of the government, namely Honorable Carvin Malone, or Deputy Premier, Honorable Natalia Whitley, Honorable Vincent Whitley, Honorable Neville Smith, Honorable Shari De Castro, and Honorable Kai Reimer. Now, our leader of the opposition, Honorable Marlon Penn, has some different opinions on this legislation as he objects to the passage of the gaming and betting bill, arguing that legislators debating the bill for the most part lacks analysis and professional input. The opposition leader also informed, and this is a really good point, that the financial services sector has concerns to this bill as one of the leading financial pillars of the territory. He explained that the concerns related to the activities as it relates to gambling and legitimizing gambling without the proper and well-structured framework to regulate, to manage, and to deal with the implications as it relates to money laundering and other issues that surrounds these types of issues. Another area the opposition leader mentioned was that the BVI was currently being evaluated by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. He said every industry will be scrutinized, and one of the key areas of concern, as always, was the issue of gambling and the implications through the potential for money laundering and the issues that surrounds gambling. He added, an issue as important as this and the implications, if we don't do it right, this has a potential to shatter and do even more damage for the industry. As a legislator, I would have liked to be offered the opportunity to hear from persons from that industry to understand their concerns. Now, this bill has not been yet passed in the House of Assembly as the proceedings were on pause for that night and will resume tomorrow morning. But Ron, this is a conversation.
It's a big story. It's a very important one, as a matter of fact. There are a couple issues that we have to look at. First and foremost, the conversation of parimutuel betting and legalizing parimutuel betting has been one that has been going on before I think Jesus was even born, or he was a baby at that point in some time. It's a conversation that we've been battling with in the Virgin Islands for a very long time. You have on some end where persons are claiming a Christian society, and these are things that they do not support. We've actually seen where a prominent minister has come out and shared a biblical perspective on gambling. But here's the meat of the matter. It's preventing us, it's holding us back, and the ability to this day to still use a Christian society as a means of not legalizing and allowing persons who wish to do legalize gambling and betting in the Virgin Islands is total nonsense.
Right.
Your beliefs are your belief, and that's final. At the end of the day, we have cruise ships that cannot remain in our waters after a certain time because of the lack of legislation, which means that they can't even operate their gambling facilities on the cruise ship within our waters. So we're essentially pushing them away. But the Premier made some very good points. I don't agree with his example,
analogy,
but
right.
nevertheless, at this very pivotal point in the wake of COVID-19 and all that we've been experiencing, I think now would be more of a fitting time to introduce this bill now more than ever as we seek ways to really drive money throughout the economy. In addition to that, the Honorable Minister Marlon Penn stated that he does not agree with it for a number of reasons. I'd really like to hear from him a little bit more in-depthly as to how those concerns, he touched on them, but very vaguely, how are they going to really affect the financial services industry? And at the end of the day, he mentioned some stuff about money laundering and that type of stuff. But if the legislation is in place, then you then create a commission that would govern and run that in a very organized fashion. So I do think it's something that we need to take seriously. It's something that we've been talking about for a very long time. Take, for example, horse racing. That's a sport in the Virgin Islands that has essentially been halted because of the lack of legislation in parimutuel betting. The sport is suffering, the persons that participate in the sport are suffering, and at the end of the day, we need to come to a holistic agreement. Whether our beliefs differ or not, it's halting our economy substantially, and it needs to be handled.
I do understand and I do agree. Where we see the Premier of the Virgin Islands basically saying, at the end of the day, we're not encouraging persons to go out there and gamble.
You can't tell them what to do with their money.
It does not necessarily mean that he himself will be out there gambling, but just putting the legislation in place. It is happening anyways. So now we are putting proper regulations in place to make sure that it is done properly under our watch, and we are collecting revenue for that.
Indeed.
But on the fact where Honorable Marlon Penn, he spoke to it probably shattering another industry. I don't think he's necessarily in opposition of it happening, but he's just simply saying we have to look at the effects that this might have on other industries.
Point well taken.
He did speak about the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force currently looking into the British Virgin Islands, these tests, and these are things that are just international standards on a whole. So I think his concerns are very valid. As you said, we would like to hear more about it, but this is just the debating phase for this time, and we'll definitely be looking more into that.
Indeed. Continuing on the regional scene out of Hamilton, Bermuda, it was recently announced that Bermuda is to get its first, listen to this, first female and first black governor later this year. Government House said Renia Lague, who is married with 2 children, and she is absolutely beautiful, by the way, will succeed John Ranking in December of 2020. Lague, who is currently the director of the Office of Financial Sanctions Implementation in the United Kingdom Treasury, is said in a statement, she said, I am immensely proud to serve Bermuda as its first black female governor. She said, and I quote, "This island rightly has a reputation as a beautiful place to live and a great environment in which businesses can flourish. It is a first-class legal jurisdiction with some of the highest international standards in combating financial crime." She continued by saying, "I am conscious that this announcement is being made in challenging times. As Bermuda looks to the future, I will work in earnest with the elected government through the exercise of my duties to support and promote the island's strengths and resilience." She further said, by adding, "My family and I are looking forward to contributing fully to the life in Bermuda as we get to know the people and culture." Lague, who has worked in the UK's Department of Business, Innovation and Skills, including the Deputy Director of Information Economy and Cybersecurity. She's also served as a Justice of the Peace for 8 years until 2015 and was the head of the Counterterrorism and Security Review value in the UK Treasury from 2007 to 2008. Government House said in a statement ranking a Scotsman who took up the Bermuda post in December 2016 will transfer to another appointment in the UK's diplomatic service. Absolutely powerful story. I'm shocked that it's still a first, but nevertheless, things happen a little bit later on. We wish her the very best in this new post, and we hope to see some more firsts coming out of this.
As you said, 2020, the fact that this is the first black governor and the first black female
Yes.
governor. It took some time.
It took a
but
lot of time.
We are gleaming with pride, just simply a story that surrounds Black Girl Magic.
Indeed.
As you see her, her long list of accomplishments, definitely extensive. And as you said, going forward, we just wish her all the best.
Absolutely. Continuing on ahead, still St. Kitts and Nevis swears in a new cabinet and details of a lot of arrests made over the weekend. All this and more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
Yes. You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. Continuing on the regional scene out of St. Kitts and Nevis, after a landslide win in the June 5th general election, the Team Unity Coalition secured a second term in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis's election. An almost identical cabinet was sworn in on June 14th, led by Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Mr. Mark Brantley, the Honorable Mark Brantley, that is, remains the Premier of Nevis and Foreign Minister of Twin Island Nation. During the cabinet swearing-in ceremony on Sunday, Dr. Harris said, and I quote, "To deliver on our plan for safer streets, bigger and better homes, more opportunities for our young people, I have assembled a talented team." Some of the points he highlighted as part of the government's agenda for the second term include the development of several projects funded by the country's successful citizenship by investment program. Now, this includes the Skills Training Empowerment Program, also known as STEP, the Poverty Alleviation Program, and the tourism industry. He said, and I quote, that's Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, "Our philosophy of government for all is what has led us in the aftermath of Hurricanes Irma and Maria to assist thousands of suffering citizens and residents. This includes our popular Poverty Alleviation Program that has made life better for thousands of people everywhere." He told the ceremony attendees, saluting some of the program beneficiaries in the crowd. Now, over the past 5 years, St. Kitts and Nevis saw a radical improvement in its financial management, foreign and direct investment, as well as their crime, reduction of crime, public safety, and visa-free mobility for citizens. We see where it was quite a different election process in the midst of COVID-19. Nevertheless, the people of St. Kitts still went to the polls and elected, again, an almost identical team. However, Team Unity, led by Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, who has announced, by the way, that he is not moving forward with another term. He only plans to serve 2 terms. I also think this is something that they've been looking at legislation-wise. We've had that conversation here locally about how long persons are able to serve within office. So we wish him and his government the very best, and our brothers and sisters over there in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Most definitely. On to our last story of the day. Now, the territory has several arrests over the last few days. Now, on Friday, June 12th, officers of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force arrested and charged one female after a routine traffic stop and uncovered an illegal firearm. A press release by the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force confirmed that a prominent businesswoman, 33, of Nottingham Estate was charged with carrying an unlicensed firearm and failure to stop at a stoplight. Police officers were on patrol that evening when they stopped a vehicle running a red traffic light along the highway in the vicinity of BVI Red Cross. The vehicle was followed and subsequently stopped. According to reports, 2 persons were in the vehicle at the time of the traffic stop. While police confronted the 2 about breaching the stoplight, police smelled with a strong aroma of what was believed to be marijuana. The female admitted to have been smoking at the time. This led to a search of the vehicle, in which a shotgun was found under the carpet of the area of the spare wheel. The female, which is the owner of the vehicle, denied any knowledge of the weapon. The female was granted bail in the amount of $30,000 with 2 sureties to appear before the magistrate court on July 28, 2020. Now, on Saturday, June 13th, officers of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force arrested and charged 1 male after a routine patrol on routine stop uncovered a quantity of illegal substances. According to reports, officers were doing their regular traffic stop and searched along Paul Watley Road and noticed a motor car switching gears abruptly. Suspicions of this move, the police chased the vehicle. The driver then hopped out of the vehicle, grabbed a backpack, and took off running. The accused was caught by officers shortly after. It was alleged that the accused threw a backpack over a nearby wall while attempting to escape. Officers retrieved the bag, and the accused man then accepted ownership. In the bag were a significant quantity of weed and crack and powdered cocaine. The 48-year-old man of Pleasant Valley was charged with 6 counts of unlawful possession of a controlled drug, 6 counts of unlawful possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply to another, and cultivation of cannabis. He remains in police custody pending his appearance in the magistrate court. Now, meanwhile, Bazarki George of the Valley Virgin Gorda was arrested and charged for possession of a controlled drug.
I would love to see the government of the Virgin Islands in looking at legislation, look at the marijuana legislations. Prior to the general elections, I sat down with all 32 candidates, 33 I believe in all, and one of the questions we asked was, what are your thoughts on the legalization of marijuana or the decriminalization of it? What are your thoughts on parimutuel betting? And what are your thoughts on the legalization of gay marriage? And one of the paramount and it was almost like a song, a response, is that they would always say it would have to be brought to the people first in order for a decision to be made. So I am looking forward, not only for the parimutuel legislation, but as it pertains to the usage and the farming of marijuana, we see continuously where our arrest blotter is being consumed by persons being caught with marijuana. And I think when previously, remember, the government spoke about 100 farmers and medical. I think even before we get into those conversations, and I think sometimes this is what aggravates me, because we put the cart before the horse.
Right.
Before we can even make bold statements like that, you have to put the legislations in place. So I'm happy and hoping to see them have the conversation at least.
Most definitely, and that was even something in the that was stated in the House of Assembly, that this will be a legislation that we will be soon seeing coming to the House of Assembly with the medical marijuana. So we will keep our ears and eyes out there to see what really becomes of that. But viewers,
additionally, before we go, the Craft Alive Village, they will be reopening, viewers, on I believe it is June 23rd, which is next Tuesday. That comes as great news. We know that with our border shut down and not receiving cruise ships, but I want to encourage our locals. You can still support the vendors at Craft Alive Village. They have a number of different products, and I think it's exciting that they're soon going to be reopened. So we want to encourage you to go out there and support them.
Most definitely, just like the staycation advertising, we as locals really need to go out there and support the different vendors, the different establishments. Right now, our borders is closed, but it is up to us to really circulate that money in our economy. Most definitely. But viewers, guess what? That is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com and like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram as well as Twitter. Have a good evening. I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Eco? 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 Everyone is speaking about eco-friendly products. We wanted to take the time to introduce the Eco Island brand. Eco Island is a brand dedicated to providing you with a reliable and cost-effective solution. Eco-friendly products for your restaurant, hotel, bar, office, and home. With takeaway trays, bags, cups, paper straws, cutlery, and cleaners. For more information, follow us at Eco Island 100. Are you a business owner? Business owners are very busy thinking on ways to grow. Wouldn't you like a vendor that makes life easier? P3 Paper Plastic Products offers 24-hour WhatsApp ordering. So, whether you're on vacation, at a sporting event, or, I don't know, forgot, P3 Paper Plastic Products has got you covered with great prices, better service.